Title of the project: Capacity Buildings Project. Note: this program is financed by the Capacity Buildings Project with the support of the Global Environment Facility. The general objective of the project is to build the national capacities in terms of information management and environmental knowledge for the implementation, the monitoring, and the drafting of reports on multilateral environmental agreements in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals in Benin. Invited to the national television, Augustin Martilo OROU, biodiversité, focal point in Maximin DJANDO, executive director of Benin Environment and Education Society, enlightening the opinion on the theme, "What solutions are in nature? Examples in perspectives." Question about the definition suitable for biodiversity. Augustin Martilo OROU suggested that the concept refers to everything that nature offers, whether it is animal or plant organism. Biodiversity is fundamental for human life, who cannot live without it, but misuses it. For Maximin DJANDO, there can be no biodiversity without people. Man is by excellence an example of biodiversity. Unfortunately, man is also at the origin of the drastic decline of this biodiversity, and if nothing is done to remedy it, he is heading for its loss. Despite its importance for the survival of mankind, awareness of the importance of biodiversity is quite recent. According to the focal point, it dates back to the 1960s, when the actors realized the degradation of living organisms both on land and in aquatic environment. The issue of biodiversity then took on more and more importance. It was not until 1986 that for the very first time an American used the word biodiversity, which has since become an essential concept. It was on the eve of the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit in Brazil. Very quickly, the summit seized this opportunity and saw that it deserved to make it a convention bringing together all the actors around. For Maximin DJANDO, the advanced loss of biodiversity can be explained by changes in the world and the development of techniques for exploiting natural resources. Firearms have been made for hunting animals. Nets have been fashioned to scrape, deceive, and pick up anything in their path. And radars are used to detect schools of fish in the oceans. We have made our tools to harvest species from nature. At this speed, we realize that we are destroying nature, eliminating the species of this nature that make up our cooler. Awareness of the danger to biodiversity was, according to the focal point, a major concern of the Earth Summit in Rio in 1992, with a fundamental emphasis on preservation. If we don't manage it sustainably so that future generations can also benefit, biodiversity will disappear. We must make all the actors aware of this reality and invest enough resources to save and restore all the species that are in the process of disappearing. Sadly, humanity has already lost several species. This is a case in Benin with the hippopotamus from the Alada region and other plants and animal species in several areas. According to Maximin DJANDO, the 2019 report of the Intergovernmental Platform on Ecosystems and Biodiversity reveals that 1 million animal and plant species are endangered worldwide. Since 1990, Since 19 Since the 90s, an average 20% Since 1900, an average 20% of species living in terrestrial spaces have disappeared, while more than a third of all marine species are threatened. In Benin, for example, the most productive water bodies for fish are increasingly lacking, while on the high seas, fishermen find it difficult to find fish. Faced with the magnitude of the decline in biodiversity, the focal point considers it imperative that today everyone, whatever their position, is, realize that if they do not contribute to the preservation of biodiversity, life will be affected. Today, it is about preserving biodiversity for future generations. Several causes are behind the catastrophic degradation of biodiversity. Referring to the report of the Intergovernmental Platform on Ecosystems and Biodiversity, the executive director of Beez, the executive director of Beez NGO identifies 5. First, the exploitation of land and sea. Then comes the direct exploitation of species, climate change, pollution, and then invasive alien species such as water hyacinth. According to the focal point, there are various solutions to reduce the pressure on biodiversity and raise awareness of the situation. In Benin, the state is making great effort to multiple activities. One of the activities that the convention organizes in this direction is the Biodiversity Week, which brings together and sensitizes the actors involved in preservation of the environment. There are also initiatives aimed at drawing the attention of the actors involved to funding possibilities, training for nurserymen, or the restoration of classified forests. Maximin DJANDO specifies that the NGOs are also present on the field where, alongside the public authorities, they initiate actions in favor of biodiversity. A palpable example of the state, local authorities, NGO partnership is the creation of the Nokwe Intercommunity Reserve. This partnership was carried by the mayors themselves, who signed the document. This great advance shows the awareness of these local authorities on the challenges of preserving biodiversity. In terms of perspectives, Augustin Martilo OROU mentions the objective of raising awareness among local communities to draw their attention to their key role in the preservation of biodiversity and to share funding opportunities with them. The prospects are numerous. As a fundamental perspective, we must see to what extent we can make biodiversity a school theme from kindergarten. Today, Benin does not have the complete list of invasive species on its territory. There have been scattered studies, but no document, and it is time for us to have a comprehensive inventory of everything we have as invasive species. We must continue raising awareness, strengthening cohesion among the actors involved in order to have a common vision in order to better preserve biodiversity.